What's going on, everybody? It's Jay. Welcome back to another episode of my podcast. Tomorrow is Election Day. Finally, after all the anticipation, we can finally vote, all right? The voting process is right now. You could send in your ballot, or if you want to vote in person, that's also going to happen tomorrow, too. There's going to be millions of Americans across the country voting. It's super sick. It's where we get to display our voices at the polls and say, I want to vote for this person, this person. It's pretty cool. But guess what? That's not going to matter at all tomorrow because we're finally going to find out the results. So, where do we stand right now? Well, as I'm sure you guys are all aware of, the Republican Party has certainly been gaining a lot of momentum in these final couple weeks, and I think that's all just going to spill out tomorrow. And like Joe Rogan said, I think it's going to be like the elevators in The Shining, where it just opens up and a sea of blood just comes rushing right through. Well, I'm going to explain why. It's going to be like a big crimson tide, something like that, whatever you want to call it, like the big wave from Deep Impact. It's, something like that. And that's what a lot of people seem to be predicting. That's where the momentum is going. And a lot of these toss up seats, or a lot of these more, I guess, seats that certainly leaned more Democratic, as of like even like a month ago or some weeks ago, seem to be trending in the direction of the Republicans, and I'm going to explain why. So, obviously, and I think the most important thing to take away from this election is that it is usually, statistically, historically, it's usually a referendum on the president, right? Right now, Biden is in office, and for a majority of his presidency, Americans have been rather dissatisfactory of what he's been doing in office. His approval rating right now, I think, is in the low 40s. He has It's gone up a little bit. I think it was even in the mid 40s, but for the most part, it's been underwater by 10 and even at 15 points. And a lot of that has to do with the current trends that we've been seeing in inflation, crime, and the border crisis that we got going on right now. So, right now, and this isn't to blame Biden, obviously, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago in my comparison to the midterms to 1994 to now. I said, obviously, it's not Biden's fault. There's a lot of other factors that are in place, but unfortunately, the president has not done a lot to stop the inflation that we're seeing right now. And I think, unfortunately, that's been one big referendum. In fact, I think that's been the biggest one uh, on his presidency. There's also been an uptick in crime. Now, crime has been going up, not just throughout Biden's presidency, but throughout Trump's presidency as well. We saw an uptick in crime, and we've continued to see that. So that's another concern that people have, and another concern that people have is the border crisis that we got going on right now. There's a lot of immigrants that are flooding into the country illegally, and a lot of people obviously are dissatisfied of that. There's a lot of chaos going on at the border right now, and that certainly concerns a lot of people. Now, statistically, and this one certainly shocked me, that the discontent of registered voters in the country, I think, is up to 81%. And that could spell bad news for the Democrats. Not necessarily for all Democrats, but I think for a majority of them. It's usually when you have a lot of dissatisfied voters, like we did have in 2010, I think it's going to be pretty bad for them because obviously Republicans, they took back the House in 2010. I think they picked up about 63 seats during the Obama administration. And I think we're going to see something similar to that. Maybe not as quite a big a wave as we saw there, but the thing is that Republicans in the House and in the Senate, they're only down by a few seats. They're down by one in the Senate. They're actually, or excuse me, I'm going to be technical here. They're actually up by 2 seats. The Republicans are in the Senate, but the problem is they have 2 independents that are dedicated to the Democratic Party, and obviously Kamala Harris being the vice president, she's the split vote, right? She's or rather the deciding vote. And the Democrats I believe they're up 5 seats in the House. So obviously what you're seeing right now, and a lot of the polls suggest, is that a lot of the Senate races, a lot of the governor's races, and even some of the House races, a lot of Republicans have picked up a lot of ground. And from what I saw from the polls that is suggesting even a month ago was that that wasn't possible for a lot of candidates to do. And, obviously I think it's come as a shock to a lot of people that there's been, I'd say, a lot more, unfortunately, that the Republicans have to campaign on than the Democrats do. Now, that's not to say that they could possibly do a better job. That's not to say that things will become better if they do happen to take control of both the Senate, the House, and Congress, all of them. They're going to get the trifecta. Just like that, it could be Democratic trifecta to Republican trifecta if they get elected in tomorrow night, and they'll be in January. So we'll have to see. I mean, I think it really comes down to, and this has just been how it is for the past, I don't know how many years. I mean, it's usually always a referendum on the president. If you look at Trump's approval rating, he didn't have a great approval rating in 2018. That didn't turn out well. I think the Democrats, they gained about 40 seats in the Senate. This was in 2018. They took back Congress, and obviously they took back Senate because of what Trump did in 2020. Now, obviously that happened to Obama. It did not happen to Bush, though. He maintained, I believe it was both the Senate and the House in 2002 because he had a very high approval rating. In fact, historically high, following 9/11. So he was a very popular president. And so, we'll have to see. But that's not to say that necessarily it'll be like this. A lot of people are saying it's going to be like this giant, huge red landslide. I don't think it's going to be that gigantic because if you say landslide, I think you're suggesting that it's going to be just a complete and utter. When I think of that, I think of like complete and utter blowout. I think the word landslide has kind of been overused. Like when you win more than when you win more than you eke out a victory, like it's more than a squeaker. People call it a landslide. That's not what a landslide is. A landslide is when you totally blow out your opponent. So I don't know if that'll happen per se, but I think Republicans will win fairly significantly, in my humble opinion. And I'll share my predictions with you in a moment. But I have to get to the thing that could actually. Now, I think there's really two things. One has been an ongoing trend. If I actually know, both of them have been an ongoing trend, but one of them has been really magnified in the last couple days throughout this upcoming midterm, or this campaign rather. So you have the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which certainly I think hurt a lot of Republicans. However, with the other things that Republicans are campaigning on, especially inflation, that certainly hurt Democrats as well. But the other thing that has really, I think, could possibly, or I think actually definitely will hurt Republicans more in this upcoming election is Trump coming out and calling out Ron DeSantis, basically. That's pretty much what he's been doing. Trump, because the spotlight wasn't on him for 6 seconds, he had to come out of the woodworks and call Ron DeSantis de sanctimonious or something. That's not even one of his better nicknames, and it didn't even stir up a reaction. Like nobody laughed, nobody cheered, nobody clapped. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna play you the clip.
We're winning big, big, big in the Republican Party for the nomination like nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, nobody's ever seen
Trump
it
at
before.
71,
Ever.
Ron DeSanctimonious at 10%, Mike Pence at 7. Oh, Mike's doing better than I thought.
Okay, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Ron DeSantis is somebody that you respect. He's in a governor's race in Florida. He has basically turned Florida from a swing state to now a pretty red state. I mean, we're talking about redder than Georgia and maybe even Texas soon. So, yeah, and you have to credit Ron DeSantis for that, whether or not you think he's a good governor. I don't understand why he's saying stuff like that. It's because he doesn't want him to be the nominee in 2024. I mean, I'd sure as hell rather have Ron DeSantis the nominee in 2024 than Trump. I mean, I think that's what a lot of Americans think. So there could be a secret backlash there, and maybe who knows? Maybe perhaps Democrats they maintain the Senate, or even that they're most likely not going to maintain the House, but at least the Senate. Um, so we'll have to see. I mean, the Senate race is basically, I think it's definitely it. Like I said, it's definitely trending in the Republican direction, but it's still basically dead even. Even though I think Republicans they have like a 3 point lead now. I mean, it definitely has taken a dramatic turn within the last few weeks. So with all this being said, what does this mean going forward? Does that mean things are going to get better? I don't know. Perhaps they will. Maybe Republicans will do a good job in Congress. I have no idea. Maybe Kevin McCarthy will be a good speaker. He'll be the Speaker of the House if the Republicans happen to take control of the House, which they're almost certain to. And maybe Nancy Pelosi will retire. We'll have to see with that. But maybe they'll get things done with Biden. Maybe they won't. I don't know if I don't think things are going to get a lot better. I mean, with the political strife we've got going on right now, I mean, does it really matter? I mean, you got all the candidates throwing shit at each other. Your guy sucks. I'm good. This, and that. It's basically, I mean, people. I feel like a lot of Americans out there, based off of a lot of what the people have been saying, what I've been reading, the statistics I've been looking at, it almost seems like there's a lot of fear out there and people that don't believe in our democracy, which is leading them to say that this is like the most important midterm election ever, which I mean, yeah, it's like they don't say that every single year, but I think there's a lot of worry out there that there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories thrown around. There's going to be a lot of violence. There's going to be a lot of rioting, screaming. There's going to be election denial. I mean, these are insane times we live in, and I just hope it goes smoothly. Uh, but nonetheless, whoever wins, I hope they can get shit done, and I hope things go smoothly. But then again, we'll have to see. I'll just sit back and watch the drama unfold, which will be pretty sad. But anyway, to my predictions now. And by the way, I encourage you all to vote. I voted by ballot yesterday. I sent it in this morning. So that should be rolling through. I mean, I would vote in person, but the problem is I'm at school right now, and the closest place is a ways away, and I don't have time to drive over there and vote and then drive back. But nonetheless, I want to give you some of my predictions that I did on Saturday. So here they are. I'm going to have to read them because I don't remember them that well. So here we go. All right. So, the current Senate predictions. Now, like I said, about a week and a half ago, that there is about 9 close races right now. So a lot of them are out of reach, but I'm just going to mention them just for the hell of it. So there's Florida, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada, New Hampshire, Florida, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Ohio. I think Republicans are going to win 8 of those. The only one that I have listed on here that I don't think they're going to win is New Hampshire. I think that one's slightly kind of out of reach right now. But we'll have to see. I mean, I think Maggie Hassan is still up at least 2 points, and at this point, it may be hard to catch up. But then again, it's like 2 points. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, who knows? The polling could be off. I could be completely wrong. And I'd also like to mention that there are 4 toss-ups. That's Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada. Those are basically dead even, and they're all trending in favor of Republicans, and I think they're going to win all 4 of those. Democrats, in order to maintain the 50 seats, they would have to win 2 of those. I don't think they're gonna win 2. I think Republicans are going to win all of them, and who knows? Maybe they do win New Hampshire. But I'm gonna say I don't know. I kind of want to say they win New Hampshire now. I have no idea. You know what? Screw it. You know what? I think they're gonna win 54 seats. I think they're gonna win a +4 to overtake the Senate. I think that's what's gonna happen. In the House, I think they're gonna win at least 230, maybe 240. We'll have to see. And for governor, There's close races again in about 9 states. There are Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Michigan, Wisconsin, Kansas, Georgia, Oklahoma. I think the victories for the Democrats are going to go to the governors in New Mexico, Michigan, Wisconsin. I think Republicans are going to win all the other ones. So, and which would ultimately mean that the Republican Party picks up one more seat in the gubernatorial race. Overall governors, Democrats have 21. I think that's how it's going to go down. Like I said, I just hope everything goes smoothly. These are my predictions, my humble opinion. I mean, I'm no polling genius. This is just me sort of reading some of the information out there, watching some videos, trying to educate myself, looking at the poll trends, and I'm sort of going my almost gut feeling on this. Okay, so to reiterate, in the House, I think Republicans are going to pick up uh, about maybe 25, 30 seats, maybe 35, maybe 20, and anything around that. I think it's gonna go anywhere from 212 to, I'll say, 235 to 245. I think that's fair. In the governor's race, I think Republicans are going to pick up one seat, which means they're going from 28 Republican governors to 29 Republican governors, and I think they're going to pick up 4 seats in the Senate, which means they go from 50 to 54, which means they have the majority. These are my predictions for this upcoming election. So, with all that being said, I encourage y'all to vote. Please get out there. I feel like I've already said that. I feel like I'm just sort of repeating myself at this point. I hope everything goes smoothly. I hope you guys enjoy this election. It's going to be steeped in anticipation. Yeah, I would encourage you all to sort of not try and be these crazy conspiracy election deniers. Respect everybody's political opinion. Just let's get along. All right. I don't want anything too crazy. Let's make sure things go smoothly. But then again, we live in America, so it's hard to keep the craziness away. Which, I mean, isn't always a bad thing, but sometimes it gets kind of out of hand. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go out and vote, and I'll see y'all later.